Assalamu alaikum. What is up, people? What is actually up? I want to talk about business. This is a little bit different from my usual content, but Allah Akbar, Allah has blessed me with many talents, and it reminds me of the parable of the talents. As much as I'm Muslim, Allah also mentioned the gospel and the Torah in Quran, therefore it's worthy of knowing about it. And I was Christian, so we're not gonna I don't know what I'm talking about. But essentially the parable of the talents is the story is pretty much, don't bury your talents out of fear. Use them and multiply them, and make sure when you are blessed with certain talents, go back to Allah on the last day with a story that said, wow, I multiplied the talents you blessed me with, Allah. Alhamdulillah, look at my story, Allah. Look, you gave me fashion sense, you gave me drip, you gave me ability to, do makeup, hair, I don't know, speak well, speak on stages. You gave me the ability to keep my duty to you. I used it and I did some great things. That's what we should be doing as Muslims, okay? And I love business. Business is a huge talent of mine that Allah has blessed me with, alhamdulillah. And this is business content right now. So, and I like to obviously link every single thing to Islam, every single thing to Allah. So, what I want to say is, word of mouth is a marketing tool that should not be played with. Do not play with word of mouth. I would say arguably word of mouth is the most powerful means of marketing. I would say, me personally, as somebody who's done many types of marketing, word of mouth is the most powerful. Why? Because it's the most efficient. There is literally no energy being wasted. You see on social media marketing, which is great, it's spectacular, because obviously people are on their phones more, people are scrolling more, people are, just online more. Okay, so yes, social media marketing is spectacular. However, you can feel a bit like you're shooting in the dark, if that makes any sense. You could feel like you're just speaking into a void, and that's because you're promoting your product or service, and you're assuming and you're hoping that whoever sees it will align with it. And that's beautiful, because obviously you can connect with people from all the way in, I don't know, Australia or South Korea or whatever, and that's beautiful. If you have a service or you have a product and you want to get it to as many people as possible, that's a beautiful thing, and that's top, bro. That's literally top, and it can never be ever played with. MashaAllah to social media marketing. However, word of mouth cannot be played with either. Because what was business before social media? It was word of mouth. It was literally, trade. It was barter. It was quid pro quo. It was, if you do this, I'll do this for you. And if I give you this, if you give me this, then I'll give you this. That's what it was. So we shouldn't forget completely about word of mouth. It's also free. Word of mouth is free. And it's extremely efficient, because once you do a product service for somebody, and then somebody who's very much so interested in your product or service, seeing it on next person, they're going to ask that person, where did you get this from? And then you have now got a brand new client. Just because you put out your product or service on somebody, or you put it out, people are going to speak. Whoever is directly interested and who wants to be a customer or a client is going to speak to you directly, or speak to your, like somebody you just did work on directly, and it's going to say, where did you get this from? Who did this for you? And now you've got a new client. That's literally, and it's free. You didn't have to go and do Google ads. You didn't have to go and post 10 billion videos. You just did your thing, and you let your model. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to a very specific example. So, for example, I did somebody's hair. Bismillah. I did somebody's hair, and she's now very happy with her hair. She just obviously is walking around as any human would do, and she's just minding her business. She's going to shop, she's doing shopping, she's just out and about. And somebody walked up to my client and said, oh my gosh, who did your hair? Wow, your hair is so spectacular. Then my client said, oh, it was this person, I'll give you her number. Let me tell you what happened after that. I got a call today, literally moments before this video I'm doing. I got a call today from this woman that spoke to my client asking about the service I did, and was asking if I can do hair for her. Is that not the most efficient means of marketing? I didn't have to do anything. I just did my thing very well, and I let my model, my client, roam free with the product or service on her, and she's literally basically like a walking billboard now. Like, she's now going to, if anybody is interested in my product or service that I've now done on my client, they will go up to her and say, please, where did you get this from? Who did this? How? And do you know how much money I had to spend on that marketing? £0, 0p. I did not have to spend anything on that marketing. So this is a sign from you, from Allah, really, that word of mouth is extremely powerful and it should not be played with, okay? I'm always in the trees because I like to be in nature. I love it. But literally, I gained a new client today because I did a great job on one of my clients, so much so that somebody else who was directly interested, it's not like social media, you can put videos out there and you could be shooting in the dark, you could be speaking into the void, but somebody who was directly interested in hair went to my client and said, who did your hair? And I gained a new client just by simply doing the work, just by simply putting the work out there. Allahu Akbar. So alhamdulillah, let this be a sign from Allah, really, that word of mouth should not be played with. And if you're a businesswoman, a businessman, do not play with word of mouth. If you have a product or service, do it so well on your client. You could even, if you're starting out, you literally could do your product or service for free for somebody, or a very discounted price, whatever. Do it, and then let them roam free and be your model. Let them literally be your model. Let them literally be a walking billboard for your product or service. And make sure you tell your client, hey, if somebody, first of all, you don't even have to tell them, because people who go up to your client will literally be like, hey, who did your hair? And your client will speak very proudly and say, they did it, because they're so happy with the product or service you provided for them, right? It's the same thing as like fit check. Like, a fit check is pretty much word of mouth marketing, because it's literally somebody is so chuffed, so happy with your product or service that they're now boasting and like, yeah, like this person did my hair, right? Obviously there's gatekeepers today, but they are lost souls and they're bored out of their mind and they're depressed. Get out my face, right? but basically, word of mouth should not be played with. Inshallah, let's use word of mouth, and let's not forget about word of mouth. And social media is spectacular, is amazing, but it's not the only way to get your product or service out there. Allahu Akbar. And it also reminds us of